Hello, I'm Ferly from Indonesia. I'm a student of Muhammadiyah University of Sidoarjo who has an assignment to interview foreigners who are abroad. Before that, are you willing to be my source on this assignment?
Hello? Yes, I am willing to be the source for your assignment.
If you're willing, could you introduce yourself first?
I am Siti Nadirah. I live in Brunei, and currently I am studying in University Brunei Darussalam in my third year.
Okay, thank you, Nadirah, for the introduction. Here, I will interview you about culture with the topic of food. Hey Nadira, I was curious about your country's food scene. What's your country's most favorite specialty?
I think Brunei's most favorite specialty would be a dish called ambuyat.
Wow, very interesting Nadira. I just found out from you that in Brunei there is a food called ambuyat. But speaking ambuyat, how is ambuyat prepared and served in Brunei?
The process of preparing and serving ambuyat in my country is quite easy. It is a dish eaten by cooking powdered sago with like a special sauce that comes from durian and what we call binjai. So mixed together with a little bit of chili, sugar, salt, and what do you call this? I think it's lime to make the sauce. And then what you do with the powdered sago is just by pouring hot water and then mixing it well until it has that gooey texture.
This ambuyat might be like papeda in Indonesia, but in Indonesia, it is not mixed with durian sauce. This is really very similar to papeda in Indonesia. By the way, do you have any special ritual or tradition associated with ambuyat in Brunei?
In Brunei, mostly there is not much or many rituals related to our traditional food. However, it is highly related to our traditions. For example, ambuyat is very traditional in the sense that during the 90s, it was our staple food, which is sago. And then another traditional food, for example, during Hari Raya or Idul Fitri, we would have a dish called lemang and daging rendang, and it is traditional in the sense that for every raya, that is what mostly served in many households.
Oh, I see. I've heard of lemang in the Upin Ipin cartoon series, but I've never eaten it. Maybe because there is no lemang in Indonesia, but there is rendang in Indonesia. Okay, Nadira, can you tell me about the experience of eating at a special event or festival in Brunei?
Eating at a special event or festival in my country differs from having a traditional food because the food that are sold in the festivals by many stalls are mostly international food. For example, it will be a combination of pasta, burgers, fries. It's less of a traditional food, but more like um, fast food that is usually loved by most of the people in Brunei.
Everything you mentioned tastes good, Nadira. Now, let's talk about culture symbols. Are there any foods or drinks that have special culture significance in Brunei?
I think in Brunei, foods that can be considered as cultural symbols would be nasi katok. It is a dish that we made by preparing white rice, fried chicken, and sambal or like a chili paste together. It's widely known all over Brunei, and it's loved by every Bruneian. It is famous for its convenience, um, taste, and cheap prices because in Brunei, sat, one bungkus or one pack of Nasi katok is only $1 BND. In terms of drinks, we Bruneians do not produce much drinks. I think the most famous one in Brunei would be cendol. However, it is originated from Malaysia, so we cannot claim any ownership on that part. So yes, I believe in Brunei it's mostly about food and less about drinks.
Some of Brunei's food is similar to Indonesia, like the nasi kato you just mentioned. From its composition, nasi kato is the same as nasi ayam geprek in Indonesia. And cendol. Well, in Indonesia there is also cendol, but maybe cendol Indonesia with the cendol Brunei will be different in composition and manufacture. Okay, changing the subject a bit, yeah, Nadirah. How do daily eating habits in your country differ from eating habits in other places you have visited?
I think the daily eating habits in Brunei differ from eating habits in other places that I have visited in the sense of the diet, like what is ingredients included in the meals, how is it cooked, for example, and also in the sense of meals, the amount of meals eaten in a day. For example, I went to Thailand in May 2023, and I have learned that they followed the Western type of uh, daily meals, for example, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. How about in Brunei? We would have breakfast, um, lunch, and high tea, dinner, and maybe supper. So we usually eat more than 3 times a day in Brunei.
Wow, this is very unique information, Nadira. Okay, is there a special recipe from your country that you would like to share or that you are most proud of?
I think the most special recipe from Brunei that I would like to share is, of course, ambuyat, because it's very authentic, very unique, and it cannot be found in any other places because of the very own tradition that we have about ambuyat. So yeah, I do believe that it should be shared, and foreigners should try to have ambuyat and see if they like it.
Interesting. Looks like I have to try cooking it sometimes. Okay, are there any differences in dining etiquette in your country compared to other countries?
Yes, there are many differences in dining etiquette in my country, Brunei, compared to other countries. For example, we believe in eating with our hands, bare hands, no cutleries, no spoons, no forks, because mainly Bruneian are Muslims and we follow the sunnah of our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And then in the sense of the dining area, we would not usually have tables and chairs traditionally. We would sit on a mat, on the floor with foods, prepared along on the mat. But however, nowadays in Brunei, we do not do that anymore. We use chairs and tables. However, it is still the tradition to eat on the floor using a mat. And until nowadays, people still eat with our bare hands. It is still the culture of dining etiquette in Brunei.
It was important and interesting to hear about the culture and religious influence on dining etiquette in Brunei. Tradition continues such as eating on the floor with mats and using bare hands, giving a unique and authentic feel to the dining experience. How do people in your country celebrate special moments through food?
Special occasions in Brunei are mostly celebrated through food. It is culturally known for us to have like people coming over with food and eating together during special occasions like Idul Fitri, or even just on a weekend basis, or like birthday parties, or like whenever someone pass away we would have tahlil, or when we have something good news to celebrate, we would have baca doa selamat, um, in which we would involve having many foods in the in during the occasion. In Brunei, food is can also be seen as sedekah, or when someone wants to celebrate like a good news they receive. For example, for someone who had just passed their exams with flying colors, they would want to sedekah using food. For example, this can be done along the masjids in Brunei. So I usually people would bring food over and then they would give to the masjid community to give to people praying as a way of sedekah or charity in English.
Okay, the last question. Are there any particular challenge or myths surrounding food in your country that many people may not know about?
I think there are more challenges rather than myth related to the food culture in Brunei. For example, ambuyat, as I mentioned, it is challenge in the sense that sago is right now less in a month or may possibly be extinct in the future. So there is a threat to having our traditional food taken away from us. Also, for other foods, I think the challenges that is related to it is that we cannot really call it our own traditional food because it's mostly an influence from other countries. For example, nasi katok, like we have sambal, but sambal is known widely in Indonesia. Or also, for example, lemang and rendang, that is usually have during Idul Fitri in our country, is influenced from Malaysia, like lemang and also rendang daging or beef rendang. Also, in the sense of a drink, chendol, although Bruneians like it and Bruneians sells it, it's not ours because it is originated from Malaysia. So the challenges that are faced by the food culture in Brunei is mostly it's an influence from other countries. It's not a product of our own. So the authenticity and the uniqueness may not be there.
Thank you very much, Nadirah, for helping me finish my project. The information related to the food culture of Brunei that you convey here really made me learn a lot about the food culture in Brunei.